specifics of getting the pantry of your inn enchanted so that it would prevent your food from going bad. Correct?
Correct. And we had asked Lacuna.
So you had asked Lacuna to look into that. She told you guys that it was between 700 to 1,000 gold, depending on what it would need and who she could get materials from to go through with the actual enchantment part of it.
Yep.
Besides that, you went and you got furniture for the place, and you had the rooms cleaned via your conjure elemental spell.
Yep.
You do still have quite a bit of damage to the structure itself to mend. So, like, the roof needs to be fixed. The walls, the doors, and whatnot probably need to be replastered. Refurbish and refurnish the fixtures and whatnot throughout the building. Many of them probably need to be replaced. The plumbing of the building probably likely needs to be fixed. And then, if you're going to use this place as a business, then you need to go and figure out ways to um, arrange for guild licenses and contracts with various guilds to maintain the property.
Do we know this?
No, I am informing you guys as a metagame moment that there's some housekeeping to be done if that's what you intend to do. Um, I'm not sure how far you guys want to go with this or where you want to go with it. I know Sinestro before had mentioned that he was looking into doing a business. He never got a hold of me last week to discuss the specifics of things, so that still needs to be handled with him as to whether or not he's going to put things into it or not. As it stands, I believe last night or last game, you guys were discussing something with the Drow Ranger Zero here and the den where you were at. I will leave you guys there to pick things up and take it.
I think we were asking him about getting materials for the enchantment.
Okay. Yeah, that conversation ended with him suggesting you speak with Lacuna. Um, he asked you guys about furniture. You mentioned the carpenter that you had spoken with previously before about furnishing the tap room below. Did you arrange furniture for your respective bedrooms or whatnot you were doing?
Uh, I think I did mine, or did I not?
I
I
don't
know we
remember.
didn't order it for everybody.
The only place that I am bought furnishing for was for the first floor.
The tap room.
So
Yeah, I think we only got it for the tap room bar area.
yeah, I'm gonna put notes there. He claimed that space. No one contested him on that, so there you go. I think Makai had claimed this space.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody else had claimed any other space in this building or not. Alrighty then.
Yeah, I don't remember anybody else claiming a bedroom.
Yeah, I don't think so. So there's that you guys can work with. Yeah. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do?
guess, can we look through other rooms to see what we would possibly need to do?
Yeah, you could definitely do that.
Like the library and whatnot, I feel like I should leave to Lacuna to furnish and whatnot.
Let's see here. What kind of dwarf are you, Sandor?
Mountain.
You're a mountain dwarf. Does that give you stone cutting or anything like that?
Ooh.
Features.
You mean stone cutting?
Yeah. Do you have
Yeah.
that?
Yep.
Alright. So, for the sake of the stability of the structure here, as most of it is made of stone, brick, and or mortar, I would say if you wanted to take the time to go through and investigate each room and the structure itself to see what needs to be taken care of and repaired, I would give you advantage on doing that.
I shall do that. I'm not gonna move my token to every room though.
That's fine. Just tell me which room you're going to start in, or where you're at.
Well, let's start in the cellar.
You're going to start down in the cellar? Alright. I'm going to say this is going to be, this will be investigation check for you. So it's a plus 14 because of your stone cutting. Look at that. Even with a 3, you get a fucking 17.
Damn.
That plus 14 is broken. Alright, so, down here in the basement cellar, you do realize that several of the joists that are holding up the structure of it are rotten. And there is, a couple of them are just straight rotted straight through. They're going to need to be replaced. Either the structure itself is going to be needed joist up and that one's going to be pulled out, or someone's going to need to find a way to mend and repair that one that's in place. There are also several cracks in the stonework on the southern wall, particularly at the bottom of the steps. There's a nice fissure that runs from the bottom of the steps all the way to the opposing corner. And it looks like if that's not patched up, then you're just going to get water continuing to flood the cellar. It's likely what caused whatever contents that were left behind here in the cellar in the past to just rot away.
Okay, so the first floor then. Kitchen.
Goddamn.
That kitchen, yo. Um, the kitchen itself seems fairly sound. The wood stove, um, fire pit, whatever you want to call it, is there's a crack in the back wall of it, and that's going to need to be repaired. Otherwise, you're just gonna. I mean, it's going to take longer to heat it up. You still could technically cook food in it. It's just you can feel the breeze coming from the outside into it, right from outside the building. There is also a sag in the floor, and you think that's probably due to that crack and fissure you saw down in the basement and that rotting joist below it.
Does the pantry count as a separate room?
Um, I would say that's probably part of the kitchen. Um, quick inspection of the pantry itself, aside from there being that slight sag that again you would likely attribute to that the damage to the joists in the basement. The room itself seems to be all right. There's no major damages, and anything that would be issues with that are probably going to get repaired anyway in the process of whatever Lacuna is going to do to enchant the pantry.
Tap room.
Alrighty, so the tap room, again, probably from rain damage near the windows themselves, or any place where the elements from outside were getting into the building. The wooden floors are warped. There's a notable creak whenever you step near them. There are some damages to the walls themselves, holes in the plaster in the wall. Um, the door frame looks like it's a little off skewed, so you figure if you're going to have someone come and reframe the place, you might as well fix that while you're at it. And then all of the windows here, they're just gone. They've been boarded up. Common room, I take it?
Common room. Mm-hmm.
It looks like there was some sort of brawl in this room in the past. There are several holes in every wall where you look. There are also bloodstains in the floor. And there appears to be one of the chandeliers. It looks like someone hung from it, as there is a nice line running from the far corner all the way to the center of the room that looks like it may be the supporting joist that the chandelier was originally tied to. Just sagged a bit when someone like tried to hang and swing on the thing or something like that. So the entire ceiling of this place is just, it's bowed and buckled a bit, and the chandelier is hanging a good foot or so loose from whatever mounting bracket had previously kept it in place.
Then
All the windows in this place are gone. They're boarded up. Um, there are tattered remnants of what had once been curtains that are basically blacking out what would be the windows. Um, as you step in and begin investigating, Zerio's going forward, and he's just like prying the boards off of the windows that someone like nailed into the door frames. Every now and then you hear the sickly crack, and he goes, winches a bit as the framework of the window itself kind of bows and buckles inward. Aside from that, floors look pretty good, aside from maybe a little bit of weather damage.
bedroom.
This bedroom, being that it is above street level from where it is currently standing, and it is about level with the rooftops of nearby buildings, whatever sea breeze and storms have been coming in over the past decade or so of abandonment and misuse have been pounding this room. It is just, it reeks of sea salt. The paint on the walls peeling, there are cracks, the wood is all dry rotted. It's going to need to be completely gutted and refurnished.
Spare room.
There is a hole leading from the spare room to the bedroom. At first you thought, oh, how convenient, there's a doorway between these two rooms. No, someone may have barreled through, straight through it, it looks like. There are some cuts and tear and the hammer marks on the woodwork and the plaster between the two walls. Um, the floor itself is cracked and torn near the window here.
A hall.
Aside from a few dents and scrape marks along the northern wall that connecting to the common room, this looks like it's weathered the years fairly well.
This room.
Uh, it's caked in dust. Aside from that, the floorboards at the base of the steps on either direction, either coming up or going down, they're sagging a little bit. It looks like most of that is just from wear. I mean, you could replace it if you felt the need to, but aside from that, it's fairly solid. Um, from what you can gather, there probably wasn't a lot of foot traffic in this area up here. This room reeks of mold.
Rip all those books. Time to buy new books.
Makai's bedroom.
Looking around, there are several holes in the plasterwork on the walls, particularly toward the tower off to your the left of you, on the west side of there. There are birds nesting in the ceiling.
The
The
bath.
birdie buddies.
As you enter the room, a small family of squirrels chitters at you angrily and dashes out a hole in the wall. The window itself is missing, so you're able to peer out and see them running down the side wall of the house, where several bricks had once been placed to seamlessly keep the corner work here of the masonry. They have been knocked out either from years of disuse and neglect, or maybe just from some neighborhood shenanigans when the kids got bored. There are several baseball-sized rocks and set along the back corner of this room. It looks like maybe someone had thrown them in through the windows.
The master bedroom.
Like the bedroom, the floor below it, this one is also facing the sea breeze and has, as it's a higher level, been punished a little more. As you step in, the floor sags notably under your weight. When you begin to step toward the center of the room, you hear a creak and crack and quickly backpedal. The floor itself, where you had stepped, maintains about a 6 inch or so sag down.
I activate my flying ring and go into the private bath.
This bathroom is host to yet another family of rodents. They are all quite comfortable nesting inside of you don't know what is laying inside the tub. Aside from several holes that look like rodents had chewed through the walls and whatnot, that's about it for this one.
Well, I have enough information, I think. Well, adding a complete restoration to our list of things to do to the house.
Oh yay. Fun times. I wonder if the furniture maker guy would know of anybody that would be able to help us, like with woodwork and whatnot.
Can always go ask him.
Yeah.
Sirio chimes in and says the city seems to be pretty thick, and with all these guilds running about, thieves. I think guild is a fancy common name for thieves, correct? They appear to have organizations set up to handle carpentry and whatnot, according to that woman back in the magistrate's office. Maybe we could ask her.
Ah, that is a good idea. We
So
could.
let's go.
Yeah.
I'm going to lead you guys here on this map because I don't see the need to flip between the city map and here. If you don't mind.
No, that's fine.
It's okay. We wouldn't know where we're going on the other map anyway.
Yeah, it's a massive map. I figured there's no point in putting you there unless I'm actually moving and chasing your tokens around. So I'm gonna say it's late afternoon at this point, probably closer to 2 or 3 in the afternoon when you guys decide to leave the house and mosey your way back down to the magistrate's office. Are you gonna walk your way there, or are you gonna try and find some other transport?
Let's find a taxi.
Yeah.
Um, you guys either roll individually, or you can give the other one advantage, but I need you to make a perception check to see if you can spot a taxi.
I ain't seen shit.
Damn. With a plus six too.
So you guys leave you leave your fun little troll skull alley here and make your way out to the main road. Following the long road south, you poke your head up and down the street as you are walking, looking around for the telltale sign of one of the taxi trolleys or the carriage service to transport you to where your destination is. You get probably 3/4 of the way there on foot before you finally see somebody that is manning one of these taxis, for lack of better words. It looks like he's taking a nap on top of it. There are several irritated people just standing by, looking rather impatient, though none of them appear to have mustered the courage to go and poke him yet.
I'm gonna activate my flying ring and walk and fly over and slightly kick him in the.
I'm gonna kick him in the shin,
Mm-hmm.
make an attack roll.
Don't break his leg.
Yeah, that'll hit his measly AC. So you fly up, and with the momentum of the ring, you don't quite gauge the strength of your kick, and you go to kick him in the shin, and you hear a oh, why?
He broke his leg. Well, we were gonna ask for a ride.
Give myself a ride to local apothecary.
Well, if you weren't napping, that wouldn't have happened.
You could have, I don't know, poked me or something. You didn't have to break my leg.
I turned to Makai and said, "Do you know a healing spell?"
I do. I'll cast Cure Wounds on him
Oh,
at the first level.
okay. I need you to make a medicine check.
Okay.
All right. So, you crawl your way to the top of the carriage, thinking it's probably not safe to move him. And you roll up the man's pant leg and look at his shin, and it is just black from where blood is pooling around the wound. Uh,
Oh,
you run your fingers down the bone, and he winces in pain, and it doesn't feel as though it's broken all the way through. Though it's not quite as sturdy as a leg would should be. You're not worried about. You don't have to set it, as the leg itself is not broken. There
oh,
is
good.
probably a fairly severe fracture.
I don't have a healer's kit. Well, I'll cast Cure Wounds because I can't really wrap it. There you go.
All right. Well, your cure wounds manages to undo the damage that Sandor's swift kick to this man's leg and shin had done. Um, the bruise fades almost immediately, and you hear the sickening popping, crackling sound as the bone slowly knits itself back together. Uh, there is quite a bit of pain on this man's face as all of this is happening. Where the hell did I put my die at?
You'll be fine.
See, once he's in pain, he goes, ah! Oh, God! Oh, it feels a little better. He breathes heavily, manages to calm himself, and for a moment, he kind of swoons and sways there. It looks like he's about to pass out, but he grits his teeth, musters his constitution. Thank you, and stares death at Sandor.
The next
Yeah.
time I see you fall asleep, it'll be your chest.
Damn.
Roll an intimidation check.
Damn.
You can use your strength modifier for this.
Hold on a second, I'm trying to find it.
It'll be a +5 instead of a -1. I'm gonna let you use your strength modifier instead of charisma. So 10 total. He
Mm,
looks at you. If it wasn't for your friend mending my leg, I'd be reporting you to the watch right now, sir.
no, if it wasn't for my friend, you'd probably still be there wincing.
Yes, and look at all these wonderful witnesses as he waves his hand out to the large crowd that is gathering around you now.
I wonder what your boss's mama will say when they find out that you were sleeping on the job.
Roll another intimidation check.
Damn.
He says, I don't know. I wonder what he'll say when I tell him it was a band of lug-headed adventurers running about assaulting his employees. Minute 30. Alright, back to the game. He doesn't seem to be too intimidated by your threats.
That's okay, I can kill him later. I just calmly take my Zentarum badge out of my bag and place it on my chest and just walk away.
Seeing you take this. Oh, here, let's do this. Yep. Seeing you take the badge out, and watching you do this, he lets out a shrill whistle.
Oh god.
About half a dozen of the watch come and just swarm around you all, keeping you penned in.
Oh god.
An elderly-looking gentleman among them, wearing a rather regal-looking badge on his left breast and a long flowing cape. What's all the trouble over here, Perry? He looks down at the watchman from sitting atop of his carriage and looks over to Sandor and says, well, I was sitting here enjoying my afternoon, evening break that I believe I have.
Sleeping on the job.
Hold on a second. What, Kevin?
Should the spaghetti bowl be open or closed?
Just lift the lid up a little bit so that air can get into it.
I forgot to do that.
Well, what happened?
I don't know.
I'll try it. Alrighty. Where was I? Oh. Taking my break, and he looks up and points toward toward the center square where there is a large clock tower that's large and ornate. There are gears and tidbits of gnomish engineering evident across this whole thing. And the minute hand is about 5 minutes shy of the half-hour mark. And he says that I am still owed another 5 minutes of when this gentleman thought it see fit to assault me. The watch stares at him, looks at you, and says, assault you how? Well, he thought it see fit to break my leg, and points down at his leg and says, your leg looks fine to me, Perry. What the hell's going on here? Perry then blushes slightly and looks a little embarrassed at the statement of now looking down at his now freshly mended leg, and looks to Mackay and says, well, this young woman took it fit to neutralize the damage that this gentleman had done. I don't see the problem here, Perry. You're wasting my time. What is it? Well, he's been threatening me that if I don't get back to work, he's going to be reporting me to someone. And then he saw it fit to wear that and points toward the Zendarm badge that is now pinned to Sandor's chest.
To be fair, I never said that you should get back to work.
He just kind of like nods in acquisition or fuck what I'm looking for. He just nods at you and in agreement. The guard turns to you, sees the badge pinned to your chest. Says, Why don't we have a talk? You are now surrounded by four other guards, and they all turn and a unified march and face the south. The captain of the guard whistles once more and begins marching south along the boulevard. The crowd divides and makes ample path for you to proceed. 10-15 minutes later or so, you guys find yourself at the corner of a street in front of a rather ornate looking building. You think it's probably a state house. Conveniently, it's right next door to the magister's office that you were attempting to reach. You step into the building. Behind the desk is a um, stately looking gentleman. He's got short cropped brown hair, um, blue eyes. He's wearing a suit of chainmail armor and has a badge of the watch pinned to his left chest. And he's sitting behind a desk with a pile of paperwork in front of him, looking rather annoyed and flustered at the events that are being presented before him. You see the emblem of the Zentarum is drawn out rather crudely, and it looks similar to those yellow markings that you guys had seen down in the sewers that you were following your way toward their hideout. Um, Several different renderings of the sketch are on different pieces of loose leaf paper. One of them is inside of, looks like the inside cover of a book. One is just drawn or painted rather with red ink on the front half of a, looks like the news sheet for the day. And the other side of his desk, there are several little markings that look similar to the Zentarum badge that is currently pinned to Sandor's chest. The watch captain marches you in, waves his hand in the air. The guards that were surrounding you split and march out of the building, and he says, "Another one for you, Jalister. You're gonna have fun with this one." And he turns and walks out. Makai, I take it you were following them in this?
Yes.
Alrighty. And with that, he leaves you alone in the office with the gentleman that he has just named as Jalister. He's still sitting behind his desk, rummaging through paperwork. It looks as though he's in the midst of an investigation.
I'll just take a look around the room.
Jalister, is it?
hmm
Investigation roll.
Investigation. All right. Um, Looking around the room, there are several broadsheets and notes that have been pinned to the walls here. Between them, you can see it's very outdated wallpaper. It's peeling in some of the corners of the wall here and there. It looks as though this office is probably in need of a little bit of sprucing up, though not as much as the house that you have become the homeowners of recently. Um, Aside from that, you see, excuse me, there are some mentions of different individuals' names and whatnot that pop up here and there. Um, Devil's Star Song. There's a string that just kind of attaches over and leads over to it's pinned to a map, a very intricate map, mind you, of the sewers beneath your feet right now. And from what you just at a brief glance, you think it goes to roughly the same area you were at before, the night before, at the Zentharum's hideout.
Well, that would have been handy when we were treasuring around in the sewers earlier.
Right.
About 10-15 minutes or so passes by, and he finally he takes notice. He goes, "When the hell did you get in here? What can I do for you?"
Would I know Jalister from the goings on in the city?
You would know that he is as close as you can get to being like a made man or a handman of the Open Lord of Waterdeep, Larell Silverhand. He is known as Jalister Silverbane.
Okay.
I shrug and go, I don't know why I'm actually here, but I could probably guess.
Well, why don't you enlighten me then?
I just point to my badge.
lets out an exasperated sigh, gets up, and comes over to you, and just plucks the badge off your coat, goes back to his desk and sits down, and begins comparing it to the renderings of the badge that he has on the pile of paperwork on the left side corner of his desk. So, does that mean I take it you're tied up with these imbeciles?
Uh, Probably not in the way you think. I only got to Waterdeep yesterday.
Then pray tell, how did you come upon this? And he gestures toward the badge.
Northern areas. Signed up there.
And why exactly did you sign up there?
Take a deep breath and I say I was promised that I could change the world, and I rub my hand against my chin and say some things didn't go right.
If your face is evidence of that, I would say a lot of things didn't go right, sir.
Nah, you should see the other guys.
I think I'm beginning to understand how you came across this badge. Well, look. I'm busy. I've got shit I need to get done. And I really don't want to have another asshole stomping about my street, adding to this half-assed gang war that's been causing unrest throughout my city. Perhaps you can come up with a better solution for me.
You have any in mind?
I tell you
How
what.
about I flap my Emerald Enclave icon instead of your scary little badge? If you want to get sway with people.
He looks over to you, Makai. You're one of those druids with the Enclave, right?
Yes, I am. And you know I wouldn't be hanging around with a Zentarum. You know I wouldn't. I've lived in this city for a long time.
I don't know. You guys get into some pretty shady shit over there.
If you mean drinking you under the table as shady shit, then probably.
She almost passed out from one bottle of wine.
That wasn't me. That was you, Mr. Dwarf. One cup and you passed out, was it?
It's been a long day in the sewers.
He sighs and begins to rub his temples. Makai, care to explain to me why there were a series of fire elementals dancing down the street last fall, burning up refuse and leaves?
It was bonfire season? Shrug?
You want to tell me why several small animals were stuck in trees that seemed to spring up overnight this past spring?
It was Ostara? Shrug? Hey, what can I say? I like to party.
I turned to her and say, did you do this sober or were you drunk?
No comment?
Regardless, I have an idea here. You seem to have at least some minor knowledge with the Zentarum. You claim to be new to town here. Fine, whatever. That means you are, how do you say, unattached. Unattached in a convenient situation. You may be of use to me. If you are willing to make a few compromises.
I'm listening.
1. No more assaulting citizens.
Snicker.
2. No threatening citizens. 3. If you find yourself in some sort of situation wherein little force is necessary, do us all a favor and keep the blood off the streets. Finally, I have a little job for you. you do this for me, and I'll put in a good word for you. And if you do it up to my standards, I may have an offer for you.
I sway side to side and go, well, I'm not getting a better option, so
All right. Look, and he opens up a couple drawers in his desk over on the right-hand side of it, pulls out a pile of paperwork, and just thumbs it down. This is maybe an inch and a half or so thick leather bond folder. He unwraps the twine around the edge of it that's just keeping all these papers in place, and immediately they just begin to splay out. Almost as if like someone just kicked a porcupine, just everywhere. He unfolds it, rifles through some papers, and goes, I heard rumors that in a Harco Swornhold, reportedly an evil adventurer that we had attempted to exile from the city roughly 3 years ago or so here, for attempting to bribe the city magistrate, has returned. Illegally, of course. We think he may have ties with the Zentarum, or the Zenithar. One of these idiots has been causing unrest in the city here. He was last seen attempting to recruit some of those Kenku things. Bird people, black feathers, down in the Dark Ward. Find him for me, and quietly, decisively, ensure he's no longer a problem. You do that for me, I'll put in a good word, and we will make sure that this little mishap disappears.
I think about him on the last place that I saw Kinku at the docks, and I ask him if that is in roughly where he was last.
It's about 2 or 3 blocks to the east of it, yes.
And that's where I'll start.
Fair enough. Look, he reaches into his desk and he pulls out a small leather-bound badge. It's the badge itself. It looks like a circle, about 4 inches or so in diameter, and inside of it is pressed a crown set across a field of red. The crown is golden. He says, if you get down to anyone giving you issues in your investigation, tell them you're on a special favor for Jallister. And he slides it across the desk in your direction.
I'll keep it in mind, and I'll pick it up and put it in my pack. And I take a look at my old badge and say, I don't want that. You can keep it.
You aren't getting this back. And he scoops it off the desk into the drawer.
Am I good to go?
Nods and goes back to doing his paperwork. One more thing. Your name, sir?
Sandor Blackstone.
Sandor Blackstone. He pulls out a notebook out of his thing, out of his desk, and quickly scribbles your name down into it and makes a mark under the name. You're not quite sure what the mark denotes, but he closes the book and slides it back into his drawer. The book itself is emblazed with the same emblem of the badge he handed you before. Makai, you would know this as being the mark of the Lord's Alliance.
Okay.
Well, let's get our errands done, and let's, I guess, get them on a map.
Okay. No more breaking knees.
All right, I'll let you do it. Sometimes I forget that I'm a dwarf.
All right, so you step out of the watch house, and as you step out, immediately to your right, the next door over, is the Magister's.
Oh, hey.
How convenient.
Well, we took the long way here, but we still got here.
So with that, you guys step into the Magister's office, and once again find yourselves face to face with Colleen, the tiefling who is sitting behind the desk. She sees you approach and looks right. You didn't bring Volo back, did you?
Do what?
She asked you if you brought Volo back with you.
Oh yeah. Oh, not with us, but he's back.
So long as he's not here, what can I do for you?
We were looking into a carpenter guild. We're trying to renovate a house.
Name of the property?
Troll Skull Manor?
Is that what he how much did Volo sell that to you for?
For finding his pretty boy?
So he gifted you his problems.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Look, last time I was in there, that place was in heavy need of renovation.
Yeah, I noticed.
Well, we're gonna have to get the approval and oversight of likely the carpenters, roofers, and plasters guild out there. You're probably gonna need the cellars and plumbers as well to handle refurbishing any of the foundation and plumbing. I can get the paperwork together for you and draw together licenses and contracts. It'll take me a day or so if you want to check back tomorrow afternoon.
That'll work.
Yeah.
Alright, she takes a quill out and pulls a notepad out and jots down some notes. And your names?
Andor Blackstone.
Makai.
Senor Blackstone and Mackay. And best place would reach you would be the manor itself.
Yes.
Alright, back at the manor. Alright, if we don't hear from you by noon tomorrow, I will send a runner to you tomorrow evening with any paperwork and the supposed estimated costs for said paperwork. After that, we'll have to have, it'll likely be one of, if not several members of the council come out and look over the property themselves, and pending their approval, they can get themselves to work. It usually takes between a 10-day or so, a half a 10-day or a 10-day for renovations to be
That'll work.
completed on that. Alright, I'll look for you tomorrow then. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Not that I could think of. That should be good.
Do you know anywhere that we can pick up enchanting materials?
Oh, true.
Enchanting materials. Well, I'm not too familiar with that myself. Anytime someone mentions magic, my thought immediately goes to the Blackstaff Tower or the House of Wonder. You could attempt to. The Spellslingers Guild is in the Castle Ward. You could try and ask them if they know of anything, but I warn you, they're a feisty bunch, and they're oft looking for something to burn down rather than something to create.
As much as they sound like my kind of people, I think we'll go on the other one.
Yeah. House of Wonders, was it?
House of Wonders or Blackstaff Tower. Though I warn you, the Blackstaff is she's eccentric, and she gives you this forced smile.
Now I'm intrigued. Well, thank you. We'll take a look at them.
Best of luck. Returns to her paperwork.
So, House of Wonders. Should we go try and find the cabbie you kicked in the knee? Or
Uh,
a different taxi?
I'd rather get my manhunt started so that I can kick another cabbie in the knee. I'm gonna head over to the dock ward.
Okay. I will follow.
Alrighty. So you can either get yourself a hired coach to make your way down there, or just nosy your way to the dock ward.
I'll take a coach.
All right. Oh, as you step out of the magistrate's office, at the corner of there is a large bronze sign. It's maybe 12 foot tall in all, and from the corner posts that are hanging out, running parallel to the streets, you see a pair of signs just dangling, swaying lightly in the wind, that have got coach stop etched upon them in wonderful, what appears to be gold filigree.
I look to Makai and say, "Let's go over here and see what happened."
Already.
As you approach the coach stop, um, you stand there for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. You look about, nobody else is really standing there. And then a coach comes and slowly comes to a stop in front of it. A tiefling leans out the window and goes, "Hey! Ah! Can I take you somewhere?" He's a little engineer. He's kind of bouncing in his seat back and forth. And the horses are fidgeting as he attempts to keep the reins held still in his grasps.
Um, where were we heading? The dock
Dock
ward?
wards.
He's all joy and mannerism. His face immediately drains. I can take you to the edge. The
Good
bus
enough.
says I can't take you in.
That's fine.
Good enough.
Perfect. It's 3 silver from here to the edge of the Duckwoods.
I'll go ahead and pay.
He takes the coin and thanks you, and reaches back and inside the carriage, and what you assume is probably reaching for a latch, and just a click, and the door just kind of leans open and hangs lazily. He gestures for you to step inside.
Inside we go.
As soon as he sees the two of you in there, he doesn't even wait for you to close the door. He goes, "Ta!" And the carriage jerks off and begins lurching, moving forward. He takes an immediate right and makes a beeline straight west. You think is probably the quickest and most direct route to the docks that he can make. It takes 20 minutes or so for you guys to traverse the city between traffic and him having to stop and allow the passage of those who have the right of way and cross the main street and all that fun jazz. He brings you to the edge of the dock wharf, and I mean by the edge, he's like a street off of it still. So this is as far as I can go. Brings the horse to a stop. He says, "Thank you for your patronage. We hope you'll use us again."
Thank you.
As soon as you dismount, he immediately jerks the horses around and makes the closest 180 U-turn he can and bolts right back up to the northern castle board. You are now standing about, I would say, 1 block east of the beginning, the edges of the dock boards.
And where did the one guy said that we had to go?
He said he was looking for an individual. What was this guy's name again? I have it here. Where did I put you, you bugger?
Harkall something?
Where the hell did I put that? There it is. Harko Swornhold. He mentioned that he was last seen in the dock ward attempting to recruit Kenku. With that information, I would like you to make an investigation check. So, you wander aimlessly around the dock ward for the better part of 4 hours or so, and then you finally make your way down to the same area that you were at the night before, where what you think is the same area that you were at the night before. The warehouse looks eerily familiar. Um, it is still essentially taped off, and there was a presence of City Watch around the warehouse.
Is there anybody here?
There are 4 members of the watch, each one of them standing at a corner of the property. They are very alert, and anyone they see beginning to move toward it, their attention is directed and keyed onto that singular person, and weapons are held at the ready.
That's strange.
Time to pull out your trusty badge. Well, your new one anyway.
If you would like, you can make a perception or investigation check. As you said.
Investigation.
All right. How far off are you standing from these guys?
I have no idea.
So I would say you would first notice them when you get about 2 streets or so away. You would notice the guards standing. They're fairly brazen about themselves. They don't feel like they need to hide anything or whatever. They're out in the open. So are you getting closer before you begin looking into them? Or are you going to try and get a feel for what's going on?
I'm gonna get a feel for what's going on first.
All right. So with your investigation roll, and I would say you're about the edge of your viewing distance, so maybe 60, 80 feet or so away from it. Close enough that you can begin to discern details, but not close enough that you're going to really start drawing attention to them. You do notice something's odd about them. Rather than having the same familiar uniform that the watch had when you were just accosted by them about an hour or so ago, these individuals aren't wearing the same chainmail armor that the other ones have, and the overcoats that they have, while they have the same color of the City Watch, they're not as nicely made, and there is something not quite right with the patterning of how the colors are displayed on the shirts or the overcoats. It looks kind of skewed a little bit, like you're when you first the City Watch themselves, you're well aware of. They have vertical stripes and their overcoats. But Kai, yourself, you've grown up and you've been around these places for years. That is orange, white, and green, and vertical stripes across the uniform. The way these look, it looks like somebody had taken several sheets of cloth and just painted them those colors, and then cut out a rough shape of an overcoat and didn't bother to make sure that everything was straight before they did it. So whereas the green stripe would go from the top of the right shoulder down to the right hip, it goes from the right shoulder down to about the middle of the waistline.
I think we found our place.
Yep.
Well, how do you want to do this? Because it could get very bloody very fast.
Well, if they're impersonating the watch, you're legit the watch. Because you have the badge of the Lords of Waterdeep or whatever it was.
Lord's Alliance.
Yeah, the Lords Alliance. So they could either choke up or alert whoever they're hiding or protecting.
Keep a finger on them, hunt violence, I guess, for now. And I'll kind of take my badge out and pin it to my collar and start marching up to them, I guess.
Alrighty. It's 4 o'clock or so in the afternoon here. The sun's still fairly high in the sky, and even though it was fairly bright day when you're up in the northern parts of the city, the fog is starting to roll in the evening here, and it's a little overcast. Might be starting to rain here soon. You're not quite sure, but it's not quite as clean and clear down here on the docks as it is in other parts of the city. So you get about 10 feet or so away from these guards before they finally notice your approach. One of them turning, the one closest to you, seeing your approach, halt! No further, citizen. This is under observation of the watch.
I am with the watch, and I point to my badge and say, and I'm here to do an investigation of my.
Make a persuasion check. We heard no word of anyone coming down to investigate this place further.
Well, I didn't hear any word of some 2-bit guards impersonating as an impersonator. Then I kind of point to their garb. You look like you just crawled out of out of the barn.
He draws his weapon and goes, Boys, I think we've got a bit of trouble here. Turns to you and says, You don't want any of this, mister. Turn and leave now. No one needs to get hurt here.
I activate my ring and say, I am a master of the arcane. Kneel or die. You are not walking out of here alive.
Make an intimidation check. Add your intelligence modifier to it this time. He looks at you. Looks at the other men around him. He goes, he's a couple little skittery steps to the left and the right and goes, Oh, saw this. I don't get paid enough for it. And turns and makes a beeline out of the area. As he's running, one of them says, What about Swarthorn? He can handle himself. Fuck him!
Are the other guys still standing there?
No, they're gone.
I turn to Makai and say, well, we're in the right place. Let's get going.
Let me actually.
Proceed further in.
Let me do this for you guys. So you are back in the same place where you were before. You're in the warehouse. These other guys are not present on the map. Click, click. So you are now standing outside of the warehouse.
Go ahead and enter.
I'm gonna draw my sword first. Okay, now I go in.
Stepping inside, there is that pool of blood that stained the ground. This is still somewhat present, where the bodies have been piled up of the Zenithar and Zentarum in the corner here, though the bodies themselves are no longer present.
Well, someone's been busy.
Your paintings are still stashed in the back room there.
No, our paintings are in another building.
No,
They're in a
two
house.
of them are in the other house.
Oh, that's right.
Well, let's get them on our way out. We have a job to do here.
Yeah.
Alright, I'll move you guys. I'm assuming you want to go to the second floor?
I'm gonna roll an investigation check. See if I can find them quicker.
Alright, rummaging around the building here, you don't find anything on the first floor. You do manage to move your way up to the second floor. Inside the office buildings up here, and this corner here, it looks like someone had used this as a makeshift office space on this top platform here. There are several notes denoting things like Kenku coming from the shores off to the west, being shipped in with some merchant caravans from traveling up the coast.
I'm taking all of this shit.
Good idea. They're mentioning of the There are slight mentions of the city of Alm being tied to an import ship. The ship itself belongs to a merchant vessel. It's a merchant vessel of Alm. The manifest here denotes it coming from a small, what you know to be a small island that is, well, 2 or 3 leagues south of the Moonshay Isles. It's often referred to as a wild land or a beastlands, as not many civilized kingdoms are in the area. There is one kingdom in that area that does business on the regular and ships things over here, but they only ship 2 times a year, and you are out of the season right now. They ship at the beginning of spring, and they do one final shipment at the end of summer. You guys are at the tail end of spring right now, teetering into summer. Um,
Wonderful.
it mentions bird people being brought in and used as um, decoys, for lack of better words. And
I
then
take all this shit and put it in my pack.
being convenient for tricking the lazy and trustworthy fools sheep of Waterdeep. You do find that there is a signature on a shipment of what you don't know, as it's been scribbled out with some sort of ink or chalk or whatever. It is signed by a Harco Sporthold, though. There's also
We're on the right track.
a couple of notes. You see, like, torn pages of what may have been a journal or something like that. It's crumpled up and thrown in the corner of a box somewhere. Through investigation, when you managed to find it, um, it's looks like he was trying to write a note out or instructions to somebody, and it's scribbled out here and there. You do manage to catch the or something along the right of oh, what the hell's the name of the street? Give me a second. Okay, the name of the street. Astral's Way, over by the mid docks. It's off of Ship Street, and it looks like he was trying to describe like how to get there to a simpleton. It's like go leave here, count 4 streets on your left, and then make your next left after that. So that's 5 streets. No, and he scratches out. Count 5 streets on your left, and then make that fifth left. Okay, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left, and it's directions like that where he thinks of better ways to word it or to simplify it down and scribbles it out and rewrites it. You have an address now to go off of.
Excellent. All this goes into the pack.
Hello, Miss Lacuna.
Hi. Sorry that took so long.
You're fine. They're in the middle of an investigation right now. They had attempted to go and get secure contracts and licensing and get brief renovations done on the building, and stumbled themselves into a bit of mischief, which
I might have kicked someone.
broke his leg,
I'm shocked.
which led to them essentially being strong-armed into some other work, and they are currently looking for an individual down in the docks. I believe they left you fiddling with and figuring out the specifics of the enchantments for the pantry up in the house.
Oh, okay. Well then, I will remain doing that.
It's the individuals they brought with them right now is, I believe, it's just Sandra and Makai. The rest of you guys are either at the house or whatever you were doing.
Alright, I'm ready to continue my investigation.
Alrighty, so with that, I'm just gonna put you back on the main city map because feck it. So you're down in the
Makai says
docks.
she'd BRB.
Yeah. You want to wait for her to come back before we continue? Or you just want to go?
Yeah, I do need a drink.
All right, go for it. While you do that, I'm going to go check on El Kiddo. I'll be right back myself in like 3 minutes.
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry, I'm back.
All right, I'm back.
I am as well. Did everybody take a break?
I think so.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Everyone present?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, cool. So, following your investigation and using the directions that he gave you, I need you to make one more investigation check with advantage this time.
So it'd be a 14, or do I roll it twice?
Just roll twice.
Well, there
16
you go.
and a 15. Yeah, easy enough. Following the broken road signs and damaged street corners, you manage to eventually find your way down to the corner between Dock Street and Esteros Way. From the direction that is given in the notebook here, the name itself is a little it's spelled differently from the way it's spelled in the word in his notes. And you think, he probably just doesn't know how to spell the thing. From the various bits of excuse me. The various bits of rewritten directions, like the dozen or so that are on that piece of paper you have there that's been crossed off and whatnot. You think this has probably got to be the place. All of the different directions, while they are written out and spelled out in different ways, they all point to right here. So
Well, this is the place.
you are standing in front of it's an abandoned, neglected house. the roof is caved in on the second floor, and the front door itself it's boarded up, and there are like boards are wedged into the corners of the door frame, the door jamb, to like prevent anyone from entering, basically.
Gonna see if they were put up recently.
Yeah. Actually, from with that roll, what you can tell is there's scraping along the boards. It looks like, well, they are attempted to put in a place that look like it's secure and no one can break in. Someone has been moving them quite frequently, just either by brute force yanking them out of there or just tapping them out with something from the scrape marks along the edges of the wood.
Well, time to break it in, or. And I turn to Makai and say, unless you have a better plan.
No, I think legally breaking and entering sounds good.
Alright, I'll start tearing down them on the planks.
All right, make a strength check. So you reach out and you go to yank on the plank against the door, and as you yank on it, it gets stuck further in the door jamb, and you hear ding 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 as a bell jingling from the inside of the building.
Uh-oh.
Oh, let's see if we can get through a window.
Well,
See,
your previous investigation check that you had made, um, the front face of this building, where there had been windows previously, it looked like at some point somebody bricked them up. From where you are standing, the only way into this building is the door in front of you.
Makai, make sure that there's not another way. And I'm gonna take my battle axe and I'm gonna just start hacking the fucking wood off.
Make an
can I
attack roll.
look?
Go ahead.
Can I look elsewhere?
Yeah,
Do I,
make
do
an
I
investigation
see?
check for me.
Okay.
Oof.
No, I don't see jack shit.
You jump off the stoop and you run down and go to the corner of the building and you peek around the corner of the building and you just kind of like look down. You're like, "There's no doors or windows here." No, Sandor, there's nothing here. Did you already make your attack roll?
Yeah, it's a 19.
Oh yeah, it's easy enough to hit. Go ahead and roll damage. I mean, it's a fucking door. It's not moving. Rolled a 1. Oof. What are you using, your sword or your axe? The axe? Alright, you take your axe and brace yourself against the hinge of the door, trying to make sure you don't fall off the stoops that are now slick with the mist of the sea coming in. And chop on the door, you hack at. You manage to chop in half that piece of wood that you were trying to bring or yank off the door. And as you cut it in half, the bottom half of the wood falls out of place. And from where you sheared it, you can see that there's a bolt screwed from the interior of the door into the back of the wood.
So the door still isn't moving.
No, that piece of wood is bolted to the door from the interior, and you do see, from the angle of where you cleaved it, it looks as though there's a hook and a small hole carved into the door where the hook attaches to the board. And that likely is the source of the noise you heard from the interior.
Wonderful.
Holy shit. No.
I'm gonna fly around the building and take another look.
As you finish hacking at the door, before you take off, you hear from the interior, "Hey, what's that? Check it out!"
What'd he say?
Hey, what's that? Check it out.
No, well, never mind. I guess I'm staying here.
after 2 or 3 minutes, you hear very poor attempts at whisperings. I don't think I ate them both. I said check out! Fuck this, I smack you! And then there's a click, click, click. And then the door itself comes loose and begins to slowly open inward. What do you do?
Zerg rush.
The dude on the head.
So you're gonna try and bull rush in?
Yeah, and make sure that I can wedge my axe between the door and the frame to make sure it doesn't shut again.
Make a strength check at advantage.
Oh, whoops.
24 will do it plenty. So as soon as you hear the door start to go and pull open, he begins to peer in, and you just bull rush your way in. The door goes and cracks. And kind of the top hinge of it breaks off and begins to fall in. And yeah, what the boss? You are standing in the foyer of a dilapidated, torn-down building. Directly across from you stands a large, heavy-set gentleman in black leather armor with a tattered red cape hanging over his left shoulder. He has a straw hat popped on his head. It looks like it's probably 2 sizes too small, as it's straining to keep itself tied together by whatever band is wrapped around the edges of it, and large goofy ears are popping out from the end of the brim.
Hard call badly dressed, I assume.
Basically, yeah. On the floor is one of these black bird people. In the corner, there's another one, and he's standing there with a hand axe in hand, holding it with both hands, nervously fidgeting, and he's shaking badly.
Is the guy I just charged into still here?
Yeah, he's pinned to the ground. He's on the ground basically. He's like 2 or 3 feet in front of you. Was knocked ass over tea kettle, sent sprawling when you barrel rolled in and basically knocked the doors off its hinges. Um, it's one of these Kenku people.
All right, everybody. I'm just here for the badly dressed one. The rest of you can go. Or you can stay here and die. I don't care which.
Make an intimidation check.
Bird people revolt.
Add your strength to it. The one in the corner looks at him, looks at you, takes his hand axe, and fucking throws it at him. Catching him by surprise, he looks over and goes, "What the? Oh, fuck!" As the axe buries itself in his shoulder. And he goes, "Fuck this, I'm out!" And just runs, just tries to beeline past you outside. Are you going to stop him?
I just step aside and just let him go.
He's
Was that a bird people?
from standing on the front porch. I assume you're at the base of the steps, whatever, going to this place, or were you standing next to him?
Yeah.
All right, so where you are standing, you see a bird person begin bolting toward you. Are you doing anything to stop him?
Nope.
All right, he comes out, looks at you, and goes, "Fuck this, I'm out," and gone.
Fuck yeah, bird people revolt.
The guy that you knocked on the ground, he goes, "It's my house!" And he attempts to swing a short sword at you from the prone position. Let's see, with your AC, you take 3 points of piercing damage as his short sword manages to jab itself between the chinks of your armor and catches you in the ankle.
And soon it will be your grave.
With that, I'm going to need you guys to roll initiative. I'm going to clear the old initiative out of here.
Woohoo!
I forgot the macro. I'll have to bring those up to bring it
That's fine. I'll just add you guys. No big deal. I gotta add that guy's initiative is legit -1.
That's
Wow.
impressive.
Idiot.
That's the Kenku. And you're a 4. And then I can go there like that. So with that, Sandor, it's now your turn.
All right, so the guy who just swung at me, he's about to have a very bad. And it is time to test out my war magic feat. So first of all, I have a need to set someone on fire.
What are you casting here?
Firebolt.
Fireball. All right. And you're aiming for the Kenku?
I'm aiming for the guy that was on the ground that just lunged at me.
Yeah, it's the Kenku. You're at disadvantage because you're making a ranged attack on somebody that's prone on the ground. So you need to make another attack roll doing that. So, seeing your hand ignite in flames and turn toward him, you go, oh shit! And just rolls to the side, and your fireball goes and bounces off the floorboards.
And same Kiku.
Sandor wants to stab you. Yeah. That's going to allow you to. That'll definitely hit him. And as he rolls away, he begins to get up. As he's like on all fours, he starts to get up. He's like, yeah, no. Just bring your axe out of the back of his head, and he hears a sickening. And his body just falls limp and twitches. He's quite dead. Seeing his little minion die, your friend Harko, I spelled his name wrong. Not that it fucking matters. I wasn't done with him yet. And he pulls a scimitar, a jagged, rusted-looking scimitar. There's chips and cracks in the blade out of his belt. And goes, I'm going to use your blood to pay the rest of them. And then lunges at you to make an attack. Yeah, that's going to hit. Where the hell did I put my dice at? Oh my god, where'd you go, D6? Oh, there he is. And you are going to take 8 points of slashing damage as his scimitar creases across your armor, slipping between the folds of the plate. He said, you like that, didn't you? And he takes a scimitar and he swings in to make a second attack at you. This one you see coming from a while. You just sidestep and he goes and catches in the framework of the door next to you and yanks it free. Growls and goes, I'll get you. With that,
You have poor choice in weapons.
Kai, it's now your turn.
I'm gonna go ahead and run in. And can I assist? Well, is Sandor prone or was it just the bird?
The bird was prone. Sandor was standing there.
So I don't have to help him up.
No. The bird now has a rather nasty looking gash mark in the middle of his spine. It looks like someone just tried to cleave him in two.
I'm gonna cast Frostbolt at Hardcore or Harko.
Harko's his name. You can
Yeah.
call him whatever the hell you want. I really don't care.
Yeah, I'll cast Frostbite at him.
Frostbite.
Yes.
He needs to make a save against that one, right? Con 14.
Constitution saving throw.
Come back, D20. What's his modifier for that? Yeah, he saves. He makes a save. So I don't think he takes anything if he takes a save. No. You begin to try and go the air around him to chill and coat his body, and just kind of shakes it off and shivers his wings. Get going here. Sando, it's now your turn.
Okay, so I'm gonna aim for his leg.
You're aiming for his leg.
Yep, his left leg.
Alright, I take it that's both of your attack actions there?
Yep.
Alright, so you go to swing for the first one, and he sees it coming, and he goes, "Oh, not so fast!" and jumps back. And as he does, he skirts his right leg back instead of his left leg. And on the backhand swing, you bring the axe down, and you go right cleanly through his calf, and he goes, "Oh, what the?" and falls to the ground. His blood is gashing out of his calf, and you can see the bone clear through the leather boot.
Okay, buddy. We can do this a few ways. You can either come quietly, or you can die right here. And
As
it'll
you-
be very slow and very painful.
It does occur to you, as you were saying this and attempting to negotiate, that the exact words were to deal with him, to
Oh.
remove him from the situation. He basically politely told you to kill him without drawing attention to it.
Well, I guess you're just now pleading to, have a fast death. Tell me what I want to know, and it'll be clean and quick. Say nothing, and I will tear you apart piece by piece. And I will paint this house red.
His face turns ghost white. Actually, make an intimidation check for me. Use your strength modifier. Yeah. He turns ghost white, looks at you, and goes, "Please, sis, don't kill me. I just didn't make enough money, and I got to pay for my house, and I got a family and kids, and the little bastards keep eating on food. Please don't marry me. I do it."
Listen, Tarum. What are they up to? Where are they?
Zent. Oh, I don't know nothing about Zentarum. I hired by the guy with the tentacles on his head.
Alright, what are they up to then?
They're after the treasures. And with that, that's the end of your turn. Makai, it's not your turn.
Tentacles on their head. Is that the Xantha, whatever?
Yeah, a little dwarven fellow, I think his name was Ott. He had a little hat with a bunch of like tentacles on the end of it, and he puts his hands up on his head and like wiggles both of his fingers across his head, so he's just like 8 little things wiggling off his head. And then winces in pain and reaches down and clutches his boot, the wound in his boot leg.
What was the dwarf's name?
He said his name was Ott.
How
That's
do I
it?
know you're telling the truth? Because I don't know of any aughts.
Roll an insight check. You think he's lying to you. You don't trust this guy. He's hiding in the dock districts. He's employing birds. And the City Watch told you that he's an evil man and he needs to die. You think
I might cast poison spray at him.
it's another
2d12.
con save. He fails his con save.
For poison spray?
Yep, he fails the con save.
Yeah, 2d12.
Takes 12 points of poison damage. Are you saying anything to him as you cast the spell on him?
kind of like hiss.
Why? I just want to tell you what. No, please don't help me. What the fuck is this? Sando, it's your turn again.
I kind of prod it around a little, look at Makai, and just kind of get up and put my battle axe down, draw my sword, and just start inching my way. I stop at him, the leg that is still intact, and I chop off a foot.
Well, as he's prone now, you do have advantage on attacks against him. So you need to do one more. That one will hit. That one manages to meet his AC. You're going to chop his foot off, you say?
Yep.
And you should make a strength check for me. Oh, yeah. So, you walk over to him and you just kind of kick his wounded foot out of the way a bit to get yourself a clear view on his other foot. And he sees what you're doing. Is, oh, please don't. I told you what I know. As his foot cleanly slips away from his leg.
One last time. Anything else?
I told you what I know. They hired me to piss people off and just misdirect the attention away from them and make it look like the Centaurium and then he passes out.
Oh, not getting anything from this guy, and I just kind of waddle over, and I guess I'm gonna end his life.
You just needed to hit him because he's passed out. You can instantly kill him if that's what you want to do.
I'm gonna instantly kill him.
So you walk over to his exposed, now pale flesh, and just slowly slide your sword down through his throat until you feel a little and then his eyes open in shock for a minute and roll back in his head, and he stops moving. He's quite dead.
Alright, let's see if there's anything of interest in this house. Investigation check.
Alright, rummaging around, you find several sheets of paper, for lack of better words. There are very crude illustrations of the sewers and some marks that look similar to what was drawn down in the sewers marking your pathway. These are all in black ink. It's a circle with 10 equal distance spokes coming out of it. The spokes aren't perfectly straight lines. They're kind of like wiggly little, almost like he was trying to draw a snake or something coming off of it. And then there is a one singular vertical line dividing the circle. It almost looks like an eyeball. There are notes written in. Let me see what languages you guys speak. A language none of you speak.
Wonderful.
It's foreign to you. It's the structure of the symbols are there's no connection between them and any written language that you know, and staring at it befuddles and confuses you to the point where it almost looks like they're swimming on the page.
I'd take all the papers.
Beyond that, you do manage to make out what looks like crude drawings from what you can gather. And by crude drawings, I mean it's just like a series of lines on a paper, as if someone was trying to do like abstract art. And there are little scrawlings here and there with just single words. The single words, you think they probably mean the name of a street, as one of them is running close toward the edge of the page, is again misspelled as sterols. Likely denoting the street that you are currently standing off of, the building you're in. And then in the drawing, every now and then, there is that same little symbol with the circle and those equal distant 10 spokes. One of them in the far northeastern corner of it, like the upper right corner of it, around the same area where if you were to overlay this on the sewer, and with your key mind feat, you're able to recall the image of the sewer map that was in Silvermane's office, and using your mind's eye, transposing them, like, okay, yeah, it's probably about the same area where the hideout was that we were at the other day. And there are two other marks here, and one of them up along the northwest corner of the map looks similar to the Zentarum badge that you were wearing earlier in the day.
Wonderful. Now we know where they both are.
And that's all you managed to find in there, aside from what Dickie Doo had on him, which wasn't much.
Well, we're done here. I'm gonna leave the house and I'm gonna start boarding it back up.
Well, the board you used to, what was originally used for the front door, is now cleaved in twain thanks to your axe. So what are you going to use to board it up?
Is there anything inside of the house?
Make a perception check. Looking about this little quaint room here that they were using for their hideout, there is what looks to be a salvaged table and 3 chairs set at it along the southern wall of the room.
I'm gonna use the table.
Alrighty, easy enough. You're going to try to barricade with it?
Yep.
Alright, I'm going to say... let's call this a sleight of hand check. Easy enough. You take the table and manage to wedge it out of the door frame and then into the door frame in such a way that Makai, did you leave the building before you started doing this?
No.
Makai, you are now trapped
Literally.
inside.
No.
Sander, you survey your work and think, yeah, no one's getting in. We're out of that fucking building. Makai?
Do I see any gaps small enough for a cat to fit through?
The smallest gap between his impromptu door frame wedge of this table is maybe about, I'm going to say it's 5 inches or so in diameter. A small cat or a rodent would probably be able to fit through it.
I'm back.
Mackay size and wild chips into a small cat.
All right, easy enough. So as you do that, Sandor has wedged the door frame shut with the table and what was left of the door. You found yourself trapped inside, and with a sigh, polymorphed yourself into a small cat and squeezed your way outside. Sandor, you are finding yourself as you are surveying your handiwork suddenly alone outside and looking around as, where the hell's Mackay? And a small feline comes squeezing out of the crack in your barricade.
I lean down and I pick up the cat and say, sorry.
I hiss.
With that, you guys have completed your task.
I'm going back to what's his nuts to turn it in.
So, with a sigh, you guys slowly march your way outside of the dock district and make your way back toward the north ward where the local watchtower had been set up and the office of Jalister Silvermane. By the time you make his way back to the office, along with the time you spent investigating the whole thing, it is about 11 o'clock the following afternoon. Morning, I guess.
Woo.
You've been out all night chasing around this. So it's about lunchtime now when you guys mosey your way in.
Well, we need to see the magistrate office too for the paperwork, so.
You want to handle that while I handle I point to the other building.
Sure.
Alright, so we'll handle Sandor first. Sandor, you walk into the office. Jalister is pacing about the office. He's standing over along the wall with the map of the sewers, and he has a notepad in hand, and he's just tapping a pen against his nose. It looks like he's in quiet contemplation, mulling something over.
I walk up to him and start taking out all the notes that I had gathered up.
All right, so when you're essentially just about done, you're pulling the last note out of your pack. You finally turn to his, "Oh, Sandor, where have you been? Like shit."
Then making someone disappear.
Oh, oh, you found Harko.
Yeah, needed a better tailor.
I had heard that he had an interesting fashion sense. What of him?
Well, he's not gonna be bothering anybody else. And I start handing him all the notes and said, "This is what I found when I was investigating."
Oh. Takes the notes from you and just begins briefly leafing through them. He stumbles upon that crudely sketched map, I guess is what you could call it. And as he's just been studying the sewer map, he looks at this and looks at the sewer map and goes, "I think you may have just found us a nice lead here, Sandor."
I hope it's not the house where that paper leads. You don't want to go in there.
Duly noted. Well, good job.
Also, and I kind of describe the fake guards that I
That is
in the
troubling.
Dockwards.
That is troubling news. I'll send the watch down to investigate the area, have them comb the docks, see if we can find these imposters. We can't have that, can we? Never mind. It looks as though for a brief instant he was going to mention something else, but changed his mind. Anyway, as for your payment, he puts the paperwork down on his desk and opens a drawer and pulls out a small brown bag and sits it down on the desk. Says, "There you are. And I've been authorized to extend an invitation to you."
I take him the pouch and look what's in it.
Inside the pouch, you find 50 gold pieces.
I kind of mull it over a little bit, and I just kind of toss it back to him and say, "Goodwill is good enough for me."
Always appreciated to have another honest figure marching the streets, even if it's from a not so honest standpoint.
I make no illusions that I am a good person or anything. I kind of shrug and just go, "I'm just trying to get better."
Maybe I can help you with that. I need some eyes and ears on the streets that I can trust. Someone that's not in some other figure's pocket or out for their own self-interest or trying to improve the lot of fucko Neverwinter up in the middle of the ass crack of a white worm. You can do that for me.
Sure.
All right. He rummages around his desk and he pulls out a small brass pin. Um, as he does so, he walks from the desk and he hands it to you. This brass pin is circular in shape. It's on a red, um, looks like enamel, and the brass of the pin itself is carved away or scraped away to form the shape of a crown. And he says, "Well then, allow me to be the first to welcome you as a entry member of the Lord's Alliance. Should you find yourself in a sticky situation or enlightened by more of this," and he pats the paperwork you brought him, "feel free to drop it off at any of the houses you'll see that banner flying at, or bring it back here. We'll see you're rewarded justly for it, and maybe I'll call upon you if I find some other work to do."
I have a feeling you will. And I take a look at the stores and I kind of say thank you for the opportunity.
He nods and says, "Don't disappoint me."
I'll try not to.
Well, I've got things to get to here. I'm sure you've got things to get to yourself. Maybe a shower. Good day.
Good day. And I leave.
Makai, you step into the office. As you step in, Kaylin is um, just coming in from the back room, and she sees you approach and goes, "Oh, perfect timing. They just came by with some wonderful notes here for you. It looks like the licensing and contracts have been approved. The initial cost for you is going to be 250 gold pieces. Um, and if you wish to move forward with any renovations on the property, following that initial investment, they will send somebody out tomorrow morning to do a appraisal of the property and give you a cost estimate for any renovations that need to be done."
Awesome. I'll go ahead and pay the 250 up front.
She takes your coin, thanks you, and pulls out a stamp and pushes it down on top of all the paperwork, signs it herself, and blows on a bit like to dry the ink, and hands it over to you and goes, "Here you are. This is notification and your side of the contract to let you know that you are in order."
Awesome. So we'll expect the contractor, I guess, assessment tomorrow?
By sometime early in the morning, I'm going to go. I'll inform them on my way out the door here. You should see somebody there. I would say probably mid-morning or so. It'll likely be two or three different individuals. Someone from the carpenters and roofers guild likely to come by and look over the property and see what needs to be fixed.
Alrighty. I'll go ahead and take the paperwork and leave.
And off you go! With that, you two have managed to complete your trials for the day. Hooray! And so, I'm assuming you guys are making your way back to the manor?
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright. So, you slowly trudge your way back to the manor. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon or so. Lacuna, you hear the front door open as two individuals enter the establishment.
You better not be tracking any dirt in here.
I love it.
If it's dirt, it's not mine.
The
I don't
person,
want to see any blood on the ground either.
the
That's
person who
definitely not
refused
mine.
to sign any of the paperwork for the property is like, "Don't you fucking track dirt in here." It's amazing. Oh
This makes me wish I had contracted that dude to make beds.
man.
Can't you just turn into a cat and sleep on the ground?
I mean, yeah.
Aren't you still a cat?
No, that was gone. Like, that only lasts 3 hours.
Yes, you would have to dismiss it to go talk to somebody.
I
With
was
that,
just,
go for it.
oh no, I was assuming the time it took from escaping the boarded up house to making it to wherever it was 3 hours. So
It would
I
have
was no
taken you
longer gone.
probably about 40 minutes or so to reach back to those buildings on
Ah,
foot. So you still would have had some time left on kitty cat mode, but like I said, to talk to somebody, you would have to dismiss it.
yeah,
So I'm assuming that's what happened.
yeah.
Anyway, so you guys step into the wonderful tap room of your establishment here. Is there anything going on here? Anything you guys want to try and do? Looking for somebody or talk to somebody? Blah 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 blah.
Have I figured out the pantry spell yet?
Yes, in the time it took them to do this, you have figured out the materials required for the pantry. Um, with your knowledge of what is needed for tinkering, and assuming the estimate cost is close to what it would be for what it would cost for the materials back in your hometown, um, you think it's going to cost about 800 gold to do the enchantment, both of the enchantments on this pantry.
Are they still in the room with me?
They just stepped into the building. I don't know if they went anywhere. It looks like Sandor's in the tap room. I don't know where Makai went.
I
Take
didn't
your
move my
take your shoes off and come here, please.
I float over to her.
shoes off.
Bits of debris and dirt are just like slowly dripping from Sandor's boot. The blood from that cut on his ankle is just like running down and dripping off every few seconds as he
You know
floats
what?
over.
Never mind. I'll go outside.
I'm gonna need one of those water elementals. Someone needs to be hosed down.
Go outside and bandage yourself up, Sandor.
Yeah, I'm just gonna collapse and think about my life choices a little bit.
Okay.
Do I hear him collapse from where I'm at?
No, he went outside, and I mean, unless he makes a notable effort to just like thump his plate mail ass on the ground. Are you doing that?
Nah.
Okay. I'm assuming he's just kind of like leaning against the corner of the steps there. So Sandor's outside. Makai has removed her shoes. Making your way to the pantry where Lacuna asked you to go.
Yep, going to the pantry.
Alrighty. In the pantry.
I look at her when she comes in and hold my hand out. I need gold.
How much gold? I'm not.
Roughly 800.
Oof. That's deeper than my pockets.
That sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. If you want this pantry done, I'm gonna need 800 gold.
Well, let's see what Sandor has when he's done patching up.
This game has turned Lacuna from a sweet little girl to an absolute bitch.
She was just like sweet, innocent little thing that was afraid of everything. She's just this hardened, like, fuck the world, bitch. I'm not sure if Sinister's going to be joining us, but he's got the majority of your party's gold, I believe. You can try and ping him in Discord, I guess. We need your gold, please. Well, you guys can attempt to get a hold of him, or do odd jobs to make your gold or whatnot. You can talk to the other members of your party and see what they can do to help you out. Between the two of you, you don't have the monies.
I don't remember how much I have. Hang on.
Skeletal roll. It's a pretty accurate way to put it, Sander. I don't think I have your character pulled up. Maybe I do. No, I don't.
Okay, I did something wrong because it says I have 83 gold, and I know that's not accurate.
You have 17 platinum pieces and 83 gold.
Oh, that's platinum.
So platinum is 100. You're 170 gold in platinum right now. So you have 253 gold total.
I should probably start selling some of my shit then.
You guys do have a nice pile of shit from the dungeons that was never sold.
I walk around looking for Sandor. Come
Yeah, I
on,
think he's.
we need to go sell some shit.
What kind of shit?
The shit that we don't need anymore.
Well, you need to be more specific because some places don't take all, shit.
You have
Sandor, stop being difficult. I've had a really long day.
Lacuna. You yourself, you have the spell book from somebody.
What did we do with those two paintings? Did we grab those?
They're still at the whatchamacallit.
Well,
Yeah, you
shit.
guys never grabbed them. You have two stashed out in the dock districts and two that are still in the warehouse there. Um, Lacuna, you have a spell book of Aria, that sorceress that you guys killed in the Temple of Air. You traded the diadem for it, I think. I don't know who ended up with the fucking diadem.
I'm pretty sure it was Sen.
It was either Sin or Orzel that ended up with a pretty diadem. But that spell book was worth roughly 20,000 gold with all said and done, the spells that were in it. The diadem was worth about 5,000 gold pieces, and then I remember you guys had probably close to 5,000 gold worth of just jewelry and shit you looted out of there. Though I don't remember who had it.
Me neither.
I know Sin was taking notes on that stuff. He has 2 black gems on his thing, silver necklace, Tony's ID card. He's got large purple worm teeth, 3 full water skins of the best damn ale, and the head of a giant croc, which he's probably still playing with. He also has a fuck ton of gold on his character right now.
Yeah, Moneybags needs to get back from wherever he is.
It looks like Zirio has some of the things as well. So you guys can try and locate him. Kaladman probably had some of your shit as well.
Well, let's go find Zirio. See if he has anything else to sell.
I just kind of float up. I don't feel like going inside or taking the stairs.
Just float up.
Yeah, I'm going to the last place where I saw him.
So you float up to the balcony of the den. Um, the black curtains that were tattered and torn are no longer present on the windows. The windows themselves are just empty frames. It looks like the shards of glass that had been in place are been cleaned out, and whatever planks of wood that had been used to cover them are also removed. Looking in the room, then you could easily fly in through the frame of these windows because they're about 3.5 feet wide and 7 feet tall or so, so you could fit through them easily. There's nobody in the room right now.
Huh. I flip back down.
Lazy man's way of catching somebody's attention, and Makai yells for Ziri.
From where you are standing in the basement hatch, you hear a voice shout back up. What?
Oh, we need to sell shit.
It's no way to phrase it. Why are you selling your shit?
Because we need to,
That's what I asked.
we need to enchant the pantry.
I'm a little busy right now. And you hear him like chomping on something. It's like maybe an apple or something he's eating.
I might go in the basement.
As you enter the basement, there is a small dwarven figure with a leather skull cap and several little tendrils sticking out of it, tied to a chair with thick 6-inch iron bands just covering his entire body. And he's just eating an apple, watching him.
What? You were busy?
He swallows a piece and goes, some guy came by, told me if I keep an eye on this dude for 3 nights, he'll pay me. And he's just eating an apple, watching the guy tied to the chair. And the dude's passed out right now. What was it you said?
Came by.
He looks at you and looks at Sandor, and it looks as though something is running through his head. You make a persuasion check.
Okay. Perception check, you said?
Persuasion.
Oh.
Where be my dice? I gotta figure out where the fuck I'm putting these things at. You know what? Where are you? Bow bow. He mulls it over for a bit, shrugs, and goes, some fella said he's with a group called Berrigan Darath. Said they'd be back in 3 nights or so, and somebody will come by and pick him up. I'm supposed to keep an eye on him. I'm told that he goes back. He's just eating an apple.
That hardcode dude talked about tentacle dudes.
Who's Harko?
Some dude we shanked.
Shanking people without me, huh? You're telling me
Well,
I'm busy.
Mainly Sandor.
You sure you're not a dark elf?
Nope. I've spent
Just
too much
hoping
time
that
on
somebody
shit.
important, that this guy isn't somebody important, and there's someone out also looking.
Maybe. He did mention something about Zenithar.
Oh, wonderful. Those fuckers again.
Oh, you know who they are?
Yeah, you remember the sewers?
Mm-hmm.
It was those assholes.
Oh, I thought these looked familiar, and he like taps the thing on the guy's head. As he does, he shakes awake and goes, where am I?
You're in hell. Welcome.
Fuck. It, All the bluster and angst that was in him when he was trying to shake free. When he came to, he turns and sees the dark elf staring at him, calmly eating an apple. And the color drains from his face, and he just goes, "Fuck." You guys gonna say anything else to him?
So you're from the sewers, I take it?
His eyes are fixed to Zirio. He doesn't seem to be paying attention to what you're saying. You do see a small little dripple of some liquid, plimp, 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 coming from the bottom side of the chair.
Ew.
Nice, Raj, and I'm gonna go, well, I hope you have a cleanup crew ready for after this guy leaves.
I wonder if they'll clean up when they pick him up. So, you guys gonna try and ask this guy anything else? Or you just gonna leave him in the basement?
I'm gonna leave him in the basement.
All right,
That's Yurio's business.
fair enough. You guys didn't ask him what you went down to ask him.
Oh shit! I remember, and then I go back down. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. We need to sell shit because we need to enchant the pantry. So I need anything you're willing to sell to give it to Lacuna.
Just what do you need to enchant the pantry with?
Preservation and cold, I believe it was.
Mm.
Basically to prevent our food from rotting.
Oh, how much you need?
800 gold.
Oh, that's a lot of fucking gold.
Yeah.
He reaches into his pouch and God damn, it's not yours, cat. I told you that. And takes the cat, reaches into his bag and pulls the cat out by the scruff, and he's just holding it by its scruff as he reaches back into the pouch. And he pulls out a bar of a solid bar of a silvery metal. And he goes, "Here, I should cover some of it."
Okay. Thanks. I'll take it and I'll go back up and give the bar to Lacuna.
Lacuna, you are handed a bar of solid platinum. It's worth about 500 gold pieces.
I look at my hand with the bar on it, then I look up, look down at the bar, then look back up. I need to sell this.
Yes. Or buy
I
something with it.
I hand the bar back. Go sell it and bring me the gold. I think Lakuna's turning into her aunt.
Um, Lacuna, I'm going to say this because of your knowledge in tinkering. It occurs to you that a solid bar of platinum might be more valuable to somebody in trade for materials versus gold pieces.
I sigh and mutter because I just realized that I'm probably gonna have to be the person that does this. Aren't I? Invisible voice who's narrating my life.
It's the voice in back of your head. Like, oh yeah.
Goddamn voice of reason.
I sigh and I tuck the bar into one of the millions of pockets I've probably got around me. Is there anything else? We should get this done quickly so we can get this finished.
No. Oh, besides Zirio having a little dwarf with tentacles on his head locked up and
Probably ought to keep that on the quiet, though.
What? 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 Don't
Zira's having fun with a dwarf downstairs. Don't judge it.
I mean, it's the basement. It could be his kink.
No,
I don't
don't,
judge.
don't you bring that shit into this house? Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, do you want to barge in on them right now?
He wants to watch.
And you're coming with me. So I attempt to drag Sandor and Abrelia with me downstairs to see this tentacled monstrosity. Do I need to roll anything?
Are you guys resisting her?
No.
No.
All right, so she leads you into the basement. You come.
I'm paying... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You come down to the bottom of the basement steps, and in the center of the room, in the basement here. Let me do it this way. We'll do this way. There is a dwarf tied to a chair with large iron bands wrapped all around his body.
See tentacles.
I look at him with my hands on my hips and my best, Dad, I am so disappointed in you right now, look. What in the name of all that may or may not have been holy at some point in the existence of this plane are you doing?
Job. He reaches into his pouch and pulls out another apple and takes a bite out of it.
What job?
He shrugs. Oh. Some fella came by and he told me you'll be back in 2 or 3 days for this one here. He said we captured a member of Zenithar and then we're guard him for 3 nights or until he finds another member of Bragan Durath to reclaim him. He'll be in the basement. He's been here for... What time is it?
I tell him the time.
It's noon. Oh,
It's noon.
so he's been here for like half a day. Does that qualify as a night? He asks himself.
How much are you getting paid for this?
He shrugs. Didn't ask.
You didn't ask.
Nope.
It never occurred to you to ask.
No.
Not even in the slightest. I march up to him and get pretty close to his. Can I get Can I get up close to him?
Yeah,
Like,
he's
is he
just
like is it
he's just standing there leaning against the wall eating an apple.
right up in his face? What made you think this was a good idea?
To be fair, when have we ever made a good idea?
Shut up, Sandor. You're not helping. I expect this sort of shit from Sinestra, who was mysteriously disappeared to go do other things. And the voice in my head hasn't told me when he's going to be back yet.
Isn't he still in his bedroom?
Probably playing with the croc
Oh
skull.
no! Or did we leave him bobbing like the balloon still?
Yeah, it's where he's been.
Yeah.
God. Listen, back to my original point. I expect this sort of behavior from Sinestra. What's your excuse?
Well, how many times have you ever told to tell an armed troop of dark elves no?
Exactly once.
How'd that turn out for you?
Do I look dead to you?
Alright, well, if you want to find them, and you want to tell a bunch of heavily armed dark elves with firearms no, go for it.
No.
Me?
That's your job.
No.
You made the decision, and you dragged it in here.
Listen here, princess. I spent the better part of a century living in dark shadows wondering whether or not a rat is going to eat my fucking brain. And you're going to tell me, now that I'm up here in the sunshine and sweet air, that since 3 other assholes that I think, I don't know, might be tied to some spider queen bitch trying to drag me back into the dark, says, do what I say and I will leave you alone? You think I'm going to tell them no?
Yes.
Who the
We could
fuck
just
do you
kill
think
them.
you are? Yeah,
We could
great.
just kill
You
them. We've
kill
been
them.
doing that. That's all we've
Let
been
me tell
doing.
you this, okay?
Bet-
Have you seen the looks I've gotten walking around this town, miss? Exactly how many dark elves do you see marching around the city of Waterdeep?
Probably as many tieflings as you see where I'm from, and yet somehow I still manage.
I'm looking for rats.
You don't find rats. What you do find is underneath the chair is a black eye patch.
I pick it up.
It's just a black eye patch.
Uh, yours? I asked the dwarf.
He looks at the eye patch, looks at the dark elf, looks at the eye patch, and like motions his head to the dark elf, but doesn't say anything.
Oh, got it.
I don't know where the hell the point of the conversation was. Anyway,
I don't.
They were Zero was screaming at Lacuna.
oh right. Um, tell you what, you go march your sweet little arse down into the Underdark, and tell the spawn of Loth themselves to go fuck themselves, and let me tell you, and come back and tell me how it works out for you. If I see you again, maybe I'll tell them no next time I see them. But those bastards, in a matter of 20 seconds, murdered my entire fucking family. And you're telling me to tell 3 of them, armed with long rifles, no!
I'm telling you not to drag that shit into here.
I wasn't given a choice.
Uh-huh. I give him the dirtiest look imaginable, and then let out a deep sigh. Well, fuck. Let's just get all the rest of the shit we need to sell, and I will finish the pantry. And we'll leave these guys with their friends down here until their work is complete. Does anyone have any objections?
Nope.
Eh.
Alright, then I guess we just start walking up the stairs.
I walk over to Zero and I hand him the iPad.
Takes it and looks it over in his hand. His There's a flicker of recognition that crosses over his face, but he doesn't say anything. He just slips it in his pocket.
Was under the chair if you're interested. And I turn and walk up.
I just stand and mutter to myself about fools and the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world yet. Sinestro hasn't fucked up everything yet.
No, someone else managed to, and we have God knows what spawning in the basement of your manor.
I mean, if the manor spawned dwarves, I'd be all for it.
Dwarven women or just dwarves in general?
Dwarves in general.
Oh, why do I even bother?
Alrighty. With that, you guys gonna attempt to go fence your shit?
Might as well.
Yep.
And I'm gonna put on my new badge.
Alright, there you go. So you guys have a platinum bar. Lacuna has a spell book. I don't know if she wants to part with it or not. It has
Can I do like some form of an investigation check to see whether it would be likely that this would be useful for me in the future?
useful for you in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go ahead and do I'm gonna say it's an arcane check.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm going to find.
I think that connects.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that definitely connects. Give me 1 second to find the list of information I had on that thing real quick. I don't know what I did with my note paper I had on this. It ran away somewhere. Um, so at a cursory glance, what is available in the spell book, they're all arcane spells. Most of them are evocation based, and they are beyond your comprehension of how to cast. You're not going to learn to cast these spells, basically. Um, you think there are maybe one or two in here that may be of use to you, particularly the fly spell is in this book, as well as the gaseous form spell, and featherfall.
Can I look at one of them before I sell it?
Yeah, I mean, you can flip through them if you want. I can tell you what's in it. I'm pretty sure I gave you a list of them was written in the spell book at some point, but
I don't remember. So yeah, let me take a little bit of time to go through, copy down or memorize whatever I need to, and then I'll sell.
let me check through here. You can learn fly and gaseous form as an artificer. What else does it have in there? Ah, did you go there? Pretty sure you can't learn the rest of them. Yeah, no. The only two that you can learn out of that spellbook are fly and gaseous form,
All right.
which
Do I need a roll to learn them?
or oh, you can learn featherfall as well. No. What you're gonna have to do is they cost money. You gotta buy components to do it. Um,
All right. Well, I guess I'll buy the components and out of my own pocket.
So it's going to cost you to learn Featherfall. It's going to cost you 50 gold pieces to buy the proper inks and parchment. To learn Fly and Gaseous Form is going to cost you 250 gold pieces per spell. So
Well,
you
maybe.
need 550 gold total to copy all the spells in here that you could.
Oh. Well, let me sell some of my stuff and see how much I get for it. Maybe I'll have enough.
Um, I would say, again, with your knowledge and tinkering and having the brief interaction you did with the House of Wonder, it would likely occur to you that your best place to sell magical items would be with them or components that could be used for spells. Or
Was the
Oh,
magic
research.
wonder the eccentric ones, or was that the tower?
Uh, the House of Wonder had the eccentric gnomes in
Excellent.
it. So, Lacuna has an idea of where to go to sell shit. Are you guys following her in her adventure?
Yes.
well,
Sure.
first I need to sell all this excess scale mail and shields and stuff.
Okay, there is a. I'm gonna move you guys to the Troll Skull Alley map here. And I should probably just fucking note on this thing where places are.
Yeah, we were on this map and we went all over the fucking place.
Yeah, I'm gonna do freehand draw this freehand. Am I on the right layer? Yes. Okay, there we go. It was a little delay. The purple ring down there, purple circle, that's the blacksmith shop.
Well, let's go there first. And does anyone else have anything they can sell to a blacksmith?
Uh, I kind of look at my stuff and I go, maybe a shield and some hand axes. Other than that, not really.
Aurelia.
I do not.
Well, let's head there first. Sell some stuff.
To the blacksmith. Hiccup. Did I just close my tab? No. Good. Alright. So you guys wander your way in. As you approach the building, smoke and steam billow from the many windows around the indoor forge of this quaint little shop. Weapons, armor, and tools are all made here, and they hang about the wall or are set about various shelves through the interior of it. It's not a very clean shop, but it certainly has been made functional. The forge is owned and operated by a couple. Standing at the forge itself is a fire Gensai, and standing behind the counter, looking kind of bored right now, is a water Watergasi. From the emblem that is pinned too proudly to the door, these both appear to be members of a guild called the Most Careful Order of Skilled Smiths and Metal Forgers.
They cut straight to the chase. Alright, I will enter with my stuff and stand politely, waiting for someone to not be busy.
As you approach, the water Gensai is leaning against the counter. She looks quite bored. Hello, dear. Can I help you with something?
You guys at the market for some sterling made gear?
She perks up. Oh, what have you got?
I drop my hand into my bag of holding and just withdraw everything, which is, let's see, I have one, two, three, I have four basic shields, um, and one, two, and four scale armor.
All right, you pull them out and you set them across the table. The armor here that you pull out is all immaculately crafted. And it bears the seal of competition to her. She's, where'd you get this?
I forgot, where did I get it? Did I make this, or?
No, this was in one of the equipment caches you guys found in the Temple of Air.
It's a very long story, but basically I was dragged against my will out on an adventure, and we ended up in a temple of air, and this was in a chest we found after we stopped the previous owners from trying to murder us all. And I give her the biggest, fakest smile I can.
Pick a persuasion check.
What's my persuasion? 7. Apparently I only roll good when we're doing straight up RP.
Well, that's troubling news, dearie. And she rolls the armor up and pulls the collar down a little bit, and from the front of the collar that would be sitting just below your neck, as she pulls it down, there is a little crest emblazoned in it. This is the mark of some competition here in the city. Those that do business almost exclusively with the wealthier clientele. This is some high quality stuff, but if you found it where you said you found it, well, that doesn't really bode well for my competition, does it? As she gives you a very sincere and almost predatory smile.
So business is pretty fierce around here.
She turns to you and says, well, You don't quite see a lord and lady who what's it trouncing around down here in Troll Street, do you?
Not yet.
I like your optimism. They all have
I
their friends and preferred vendors. Some of them are quite skilled, actually. And she looks over the armor. Oh, I never thought to do that. Um, Others, well, they're simply throwing around the weight of their patrons or families.
well, I I'm not sure what to tell you. We found this. Their previous owners were no longer in need of it. Clearly, such a shame. I should, for this sort of quality material, I should let my family know about what's available here. They might be interested.
And your family is?
The dark ribbons.
Oh, the ones setting the lightning rail up, correct?
That would be me. Well, us. I'm surveying for them when I'm not in Temples of Air.
So it's
Stuff.
it's not just a rumor then.
It's preliminary. No promises.
I had heard rumors coming from the House of Wonders. You know those gnomes like to brag.
Among other things, their bragging skills are only second to their architectural ones.
Makes me almost regretful to have plied my trade nearly exclusively in armor. However, I have a proposition for you. You send some work my way. Allow me to put our little shop's mark on it. And I'll give you a little extra for these.
I give her a look and I tap one of the shields. Well, what do these shields look
Um, the shields themselves, they're basic kite shields. Emblazoned on the front of the kite shield, Makai, you recognize this immediately as being the mark of the Sea Ward.
Okay.
is that holy to her or anything? Or
It's the mark of the wealthiest quarter in the city.
okay,
It's used exclusively by the Waterhavian elites as a mark of status and pride. Each of the districts themselves, Makai, you would be aware of this, they're fiercely competitive. And it's not in a hostile sense, it's in a sense of pride. Um,
Show off sense.
yes, throughout the year, annually, there are several festivals that are held between each of the districts, and every district poses forth a champion, for lack of better words, whoever they believe is going to be or have the greatest chance at succeeding. And they show off their successes, be it their wares for the year, depending on the competition, or maybe their most skilled dancer or their strongest fighter if it's an arena competition, something like that. But whatever ward wins that particular event or season, whatever it may be, has bragging rights until the following year. And usually that bragging rights carries some favor and weight between the citizenry. So if the Sea Ward wins, for example, then the rest of the city and those traveling into the city are more likely to seek out the one that's saying, we were the best, for instance, we posed the best smiths during the Iron Festival, right? So people will tend to flock and look for that particular forge because that's what the clamor and rumors about the town are. That these guys were the best, they won. So because they won, ergo they must be the best smiths in the city. It's bragging rights kind of thing. And because of that, when they produce certain materials or equipment, in this case shields, where they have a chance to put a little extra flair on it or leave their mark, in a very open way, they do it. So these shields that have been brought here and the mark that is inside the armor are all toward a smith from the Sea Ward. The smith itself is the smith itself, the forge is called the Sea Breeze's Luck.
Okay.
That is what is going on here.
I think that could be arranged. While we're doing our surveying, we will clearly need armed guards, and the Dark Ribbons do take care of their. I could speak to my family and ensure that at least our more basic weaponry and armor can come from here, with your logo clearly defined, of course. I mean, clearly you were able to recognize all of this at a glance. You know what you're doing. I would want the best for my family.
She smiles and stands her hand out for you to shake it in agreement, and says, "And you'll have it, and then some. I assure you of that much."
I shake her hand. It's a deal.
She beams with pride at successfully negotiating something. Um, Looks over the pieces of armor, looks over the shields real quick, glances down at what she appears to be the gaudy blue and gold fields set across the ward's mascot of a sea lion, and a fanciful combination of a fish and a lion. It's kind of standoffish, and even you, as a druid and a member of the circle that is beset in the Sea Ward, kind of uncomfortable at seeing it, displayed in this manner. It's not very tactful. Um, she,
Very, like, new money sort of thing.
yeah, she kind of rolls her eyes and sighs at the ostentation of it. Just slowly picks each piece up and pulls it over and sets it off on a bench next to one of the forges that's not currently being used. And then reaches under the counter, pulls out a lockbox, and turns a key on it, and opens it up. It counts out coin, puts it into a bag, ties its ring shut, and hands it over to you. She counted out 260 gold pieces and put them in the bag, tied the bag shut, and handed it over to you. And says, "Pleasure doing business with you."
It's a pleasure doing business with you, madame. You'll be hearing from us shortly.
I look forward to it.
So, to the Wonder or whatever next, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You guys want to pick that up next session? We're almost at the end time for this session anyway.
Sure.
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 Alright.
Maybe Sinestro will come out of his bubble and join us. And now I'm angry because he wasn't there to see me actually be good at something. Normally I'm just screwing up my rolls or accidentally casting darkness over 60 feet.
The entire field of darkness. You can't
Trying to
see
be
anything.
slick, and it failed miserably.
That's alright. You did good tonight. You got into it. It was fun.